Here is a number that should bother every car executive in Detroit, Stuttgart, and Tokyo. $10. That is what it costs CATL, the world's largest battery company, to produce 1 kilowatt-hour of its new sodium-ion battery. The same kilowatt-hour costs between $100 and $115 using the lithium chemistry that every Western automaker has built their entire electric vehicle strategy around. Not 10% cheaper, not 20% cheaper, 1/10 the price. And that is not the ceiling. That is where China is starting. While Toyota has been promising a breakthrough battery since 2020 and pushing that deadline back every 2 years like clockwork, China has already started the production line. While QuantumScape is still reporting lab results, CATL is shipping. And while politicians in Washington debate battery subsidies, China has quietly made the most disruptive energy technology in decades not just real, but affordable. This is not about one company. This is not about one battery. This is about China systematically dismantling the advantage the West thought it had. And by the time you finish this video, you will understand exactly how far ahead they already are. To understand why what China just did matters, you need to understand what lithium actually is. Lithium is not just a material, it is a dependency. Every major electric vehicle on the road today, every Tesla, every Volkswagen ID.4, every Hyundai Ioniq, runs on lithium chemistry. And that means every one of those companies is permanently exposed to whatever lithium costs on the global market. In 2022, that exposure became a crisis. Battery-grade lithium carbonate spiked to over $70,000 per metric ton. Almost overnight, the economics of the electric vehicle industry broke down. Manufacturers that had promised affordable electric vehicles suddenly could not deliver them. Margins collapsed. Production plans were shelved. Lithium prices have since fallen back to around $10,000 to $12,000 per ton. But that fall is misleading. It does not mean the problem is solved. It means the problem is temporarily quiet. Mining licenses in China have been frozen. Production constraints are building. And analysts who have watched this market for decades will tell you that another spike is not a question of if, only when. Every automaker building on lithium knows this. And every one of them has spent years searching for the alternative. The answer they all hoped for was solid-state batteries. The answer that actually arrived first was something far simpler and far more powerful: salt. CATL's sodium bombshell. Sodium is the same element that makes table salt white. It makes up 2.3% of the Earth's crust, which means it is roughly 400 times more abundant than lithium. It is found on every continent, in every ocean, in practically unlimited supply. And sodium carbonate, the raw material for sodium-ion batteries, costs around $200 per metric ton. Compare that to lithium carbonate at $10,000 to $12,000 per ton, even at today's depressed prices. The raw material cost advantage is not marginal. It is structural. It is permanent. CATL took that structural advantage and turned it into a product called Naxtra, the world's mass-produced sodium-ion battery pack designed for passenger vehicles. And the specs are not what the industry expected. 175 watt-hours per kilogram. That puts Naxtra directly in the range of LFP lithium batteries, the same chemistry that powers most affordable electric vehicles today. Range on a single charge is over 300 miles in real-world conditions, including extreme cold. Cycle life is more than 10,000 charges. Safety. There are no combustion-supporting materials at the cell level, which means the fire risk that has plagued lithium batteries is engineered out entirely. And at the system level, CATL has priced this battery at $10 to $19 per kilowatt-hour. A full battery pack for a family SUV costs a fraction of what lithium packs cost today. Mass production began in December 2025. Deliveries to automakers are rolling out through 2026. The first vehicles carrying Naxtra packs are already being tested. This is not a concept. It is not a press release. It is happening. Solid state. China is moving on two fronts. Here is the part that makes the sodium story even more remarkable. China is not betting everything on sodium. They are running two simultaneous revolutions. While CATL is scaling sodium-ion production, Chinese researchers in May 2026 unveiled a solid-state lithium metal battery achieving 451.5 watt-hours per kilogram with 3-minute charging capability. That energy density is roughly double what today's best lithium batteries deliver. And charging in 3 minutes means you fill up faster than you pump petrol. Chery has announced a solid-state cell reaching 600 watt-hours per kilogram, with a projected range of 1,200 to 1,300 kilometers on a single charge. FAW Group has already installed a semi-solid-state battery with 500 watt-hours per kilogram into a production vehicle. CATL has a pilot line for all solid-state cells in Hefei, Anhui Province. It commenced operation in May 2025, targeting 500 watt-hours per kilogram at scale. More than 50 organizations across China, including CATL, BYD, and Tsinghua University, spent 8 months building the world's first universal standard for solid-state batteries. China is not just building the technology. It is writing the rules the rest of the world will eventually have to follow. Where the West actually stands, Toyota first promised solid-state batteries would be ready for commercial use by 2020, then 2023, then 2026. Now the target is 2027 to 2028 for limited initial production, not mass manufacturing. And Toyota's own executives acknowledge this will equip tens of thousands of vehicles, not millions. That is not a roadmap. That is a holding pattern. QuantumScape, the American solid-state battery startup backed by Volkswagen, is still reporting lab test results and 400 cycle retention figures. It has not put a battery into a production vehicle. Samsung SDI is promising 80% charge in 9 minutes by 2027. Mercedes has driven a prototype 749 miles on solid state, which is genuinely impressive. But Mercedes has also said mass production will not happen until the end of the decade. The pattern is consistent. Western and Japanese companies are doing the research. China is doing the manufacturing. And in the battery industry, the company that controls manufacturing controls everything: the supply chain, the cost curve, the standards, the market. China already controls 80% of global battery cell production. That number is not falling. Here is what this actually means for the decade ahead. The electric vehicle was supposed to be the technology that let the West reset the automotive order. A clean break from the internal combustion engine that Germany, Japan, and America had dominated for a century. A chance to compete on new terms. Instead, China got there first, scaled faster, and is now cutting the cost of the fundamental components so aggressively that Western manufacturers face the same choice they dreaded in smartphones, in solar panels, and in consumer electronics. Build on Chinese supply chains and survive, or try to build their own and fall further behind. CATL's sodium battery does not just undercut lithium on price. It resets the entire conversation about what an affordable electric vehicle can be. And it arrives at a moment when China has simultaneously cracked the next generation of solid-state technology that the West is still promising. The West did not just lose the battery race. Most of them have not finished reading the starting gun. If this changed how you see the electric vehicle industry, hit subscribe. Drop a comment below. Do you think Western manufacturers can close this gap before the end of the decade, or is the lead already too large? We will see you in the next one.